we watch, we observe, and then we strike. Welcome to Crypto Strikers. My name is Frank, the channel you want to subscribe to for Bitcoin, altcoin, and other crypto analysis. In today's video, we're going to take a look at the Bitcoin price. Also, we're going to take a look at Ethereum. We're going to take a look at the whole crypto market as a whole. You want to stick with me in this video to find out my price target, where I feel the Bitcoin price will be going at the immediate short term, and also my price target for the long term as well. If this is your first time meeting me on this channel, you want to subscribe to this channel, click on the notification bell icon and give this video a thumbs up to support my channel. So without further ado, let's jump right into the video of today. Alright guys, so as we can see, we see Bitcoin has been in this rising wedge for a long time now. I think since June till, and then we have a breakout here at September, and then this is not like this is not like a new news. It's not like something fresh. We all know this Bitcoin has been in this ascending channel and rising wedge for a while, and then we eventually got the breakdown here and then tried to still find movement to the upside, but the price was highly rejected at this particular place. And as you can see in my video yesterday, I did something like this to tell you guys where I feel the Bitcoin price might be heading to at the immediate short term, and also my price targets as well. So yesterday I made a video saying Bitcoin will be heading to either 43k or 40k as well, but we saw a breakdown in the price of Bitcoin, and then eventually the prices was quickly bought up by the bulls, and they quickly like defend that particular level for the price not to go below that 40k, and then we saw a huge buyback in the price. But right now, what is unfolding in the price of Bitcoin? So you want to find out with me in this video, and I want to give you guys my thoughts and my analysis where I feel the price will be going to. But as you can see, there's something clear happening here, something like is very glaring. What we can see here, you can see Bitcoin is forming a potential double bottom here. You see this is the first one, and the potential one is eventually, and that one is eventually forming here, but it hasn't been formed. It's just pure speculation. Until it's being formed, then we can say a double bottom is being formed. So what do I feel the price of Bitcoin, where do I think it will be going at the immediate short term? So if we take a measurement price target from this double bottom that we see here, that I think might eventually be forming in the price, if we take a measurement price target from this particular neckline here to the bottom here, which is this particular point here, we're gonna see something like this. We're gonna see something like this. Yeah, we're gonna see the price of BTC heads to 50,000, to the 50,000 range, but we all know this is not going to be an easy journey. There's definitely going to be cluster of resistance on the way up, and then we want to be prepared for that. As we can see, we have the 21 exponential moving average and the 55 exponential moving average, which just cross each other. We saw the 21 exponential moving average just crossed the 55 exponential moving average to the downside, and we saw this massive pullback in the price. But this just like really happened, and in a way, somehow it's definitely signify we can still see some pullback in the price of Bitcoin as well. So we can still see some pullback, and if that pullback won't occur, I think we can see something like this. You can see the price of Bitcoin, at least come down to between the $37,000 to $38,000 range, especially the $38,000 range. $38,000 range has been flashing for a very long time for the Bitcoin price to make a retest on that particular level, but the bulls have been fighting back for a long time to defend that particular price level for Bitcoin not to go to that particular place. But right now, something interesting is going on in the price of Bitcoin, and I really want to like share it to you guys so you guys will see. And I think that will be visible when we go to the daily time frame and bring out some moving averages. Now this is the daily time frame of BTC, and we on the blue line that we see here is definitely the 100 moving average, and the orange line that we got here is the 200 exponential moving average. So what are we seeing right here? We can see that the 100 moving average is clearly defending the price of BTC from coming down. Like like the price of Bitcoin is finding support at the 200 exponential moving average and the 100 moving average as well. We can see both prices here is supporting the price of Bitcoin from coming down further, aside from where it has dropped to. So we have support at the 200 exponential moving average and also the 100 moving average as well. So these two moving average that we see here, they are very strong moving averages, and I feel that this moving average are still going to support the price of Bitcoin. As you can see, they are eventually giving the Bitcoin price a very strong support there, and then I think the bulls are really fighting hard to make the price not really come down to this particular level. But there's something also that is going on in between this particular place that you guys like really needs to see. Now I think that this will like really get interesting when we bring out the 100 exponential moving average and see what I'm trying to say. Now this is a 100 exponential moving average, and the 100 exponential moving average is this green line that we see here. What did we see here? We can see clearly that the 100 exponential moving average is acting as a resistance to the Bitcoin price, and then preventing the price from going further upward than the actual place it was supposed to go to. It's preventing the price, and we have these two strong moving averages here supporting the price, and the 100 moving average, exponential moving average, preventing the price from going up. So it's like 2 versus 1, and then not just 2 versus 1, it's like a battle between the moving averages. And if you ask me who's gonna win this battle, I feel the 200 and the 100 moving average is aligning together to form an alliance against the 100 exponential moving average. I think these two will win the battle, and then we're going to see the price of BTC goes up and then eventually test this neckline that we see here, and this neckline of this potential double bottom that is about to form, and that neckline is sitting around 45,000 range. So once Bitcoin gets to this $45,000 range, we know definitely there is a cluster of resistance there. We can see one resistance here, see another resistance here. If we goes back in time, we see that we have a whole lot of resistance there as well. So we want to keep an eye on the $45,000 range for BTC. But the moment we break this $45,000 range, we are going to see a measurement price target of the price of BTC to the upside. We are going to see BTC goes from the $45,000 range back to this particular point here, which is the $48,000 range. As in this point here, we're going to see Bitcoin gets to the $48,000 range when it eventually breaks this resistance that we have here, which is the $45,000 range. So we want to keep an eye on this, because this is like very important. We want to keep an eye on this, and don't really jump into a trade right now, because you feel the price of BTC might eventually break this moving average that you get here. We want to wait for a confirmation. You also want to wait till when you feel the price of Bitcoin has eventually got a retest and find support at this particular moving average that we see here, and then that's when it will be like very safe and very easy for you to place your trade. Now if you take a look at this moving average that I'm actually talking about, we can see that this moving average has been a very strong moving average for the price of BTC. It has been a strong moving average for the price of BTC, because at the time when the price of Bitcoin eventually goes below this particular moving average, you can see when the price is about to and the price was trying to like go further above this particular moving average that we see there, you can see the moving average is like acting as a very strong resistance in the price of BTC. Is acting as a very strong resistance in the price of Bitcoin. You can see the same moving average which was acting as the support in the future in the past was acting as a very strong resistance in the price of BTC. We can see 1 year, see another 1 year as well. If we go further, we'll still see that that same moving average was either acting as a support for the price of BTC and or acting as a resistance in the price of BTC as well. Now if we take a look at the 100 moving average as well, which is this green line that we see there, we can see the 100 moving average also acted as a very strong important line for the price of BTC, because in this particular point that we see here, we can see the 100 moving average was acting as a very strong support. It was supporting the price of Bitcoin here. You also have another support here, as well. You can see when the price of Bitcoin was about falling, the 100 moving average actually prevented the price from going further downward, and then we saw this massive movement that we have in the price of BTC. So both moving average have been one hell of a strong moving average. We can see here as well, when the price was about coming down, the moving average, the 100 moving average prevented the price from going down, and then we saw this massive movements to the upside. So what am I saying in essence is that we're going to keep an eye, we need to like keep an eye on this 4 moving average that we have here. It's very like exciting moving average that we have here. We have the 100 moving average, which was acting as a very strong support for the price of Bitcoin, but is now acting as a resistance in the price of Bitcoin. So this is not something we just want to overlook. This is something we want to really pay attention to. And also on the downside, we have the exponential moving average, which was acting as a resistance in the price of Bitcoin, but now acting as a support. So if you take a look at the moving average, we have the 200 and the 100. We all know the 200 exponential moving average is way much more stronger than the 100 moving averages. But why do I say the 200 is much more stronger? If you do the calculation very well, you know the 200 exponential moving average is much more stronger than the 100 exponential moving average. And not just that, it's not just the 200 that is supporting the price. We also have the support of the 100 moving average, not the exponential this time, but the moving average, the 100 moving average also supporting the price of Bitcoin. So it's in alignment with the 200 exponential moving average. So both are fine, both are giving the Bitcoin price a very strong support, and I just feel like it will be very difficult for the price of Bitcoin to just eventually fall down and break this 2 strong moving average that we see here, and then goes to a much more lower range, which is here. And another interesting thing that we can see in the price of Bitcoin, if we take a look at the right hand side, which I have here, we can see I have the VPVRO here, and you can see that at this particular range in the VPVRO, at this particular range in the VPVRO, let me quickly draw something for you guys so you see. This range here that I drew here, we can see that we have a whole cluster of resistance here, which like would be very difficult for the price of BTC to like just fall down and just pass through all this cluster of resistance that we have here, and then comes to a much more lower level. So the support that Bitcoin is having is way much more stronger than the resistance, than stuff that are preventing it from going upward. So if you ask me, where do I feel the price of BTC might be going, I feel the price of Bitcoin is going to the upside. We definitely going to break these moving averages here, which we have as the on exponential 100 exponential moving average. I believe we're going to break this 100 exponential moving average and goes to the upside and see and test levels such as the $48,000 range for Bitcoin. So keep an eye for the $48,000 range for BTC, but first we really need to get to the $45,000 range first before we can see the movement of Bitcoin to the 48k. But eventually when we get to the 48k, you really want to be careful. If you're that person who really takes a trade down here when the price of Bitcoin gets to 40k, I would like really advise you, the moment you get to this, you eventually skate through and get to the 48k, it's best for you to like just take your profit and then see what the market wants to like really brings out to present itself with. Because when we get to this 48k, a whole lot of stuff is going to happen. Because in my previous video I drew some particular chart and prove to you guys why I feel this $48,000 range will be the decision point for Bitcoin, either to continue to the $50,000 range or the price will eventually comes down to a much more lower range, testing the 38k back again. So you want to really keep an eye on this. And also, if we take a look at the RSI below, I always said it, we don't really need to just ignore the RSI. The RSI is one very strong indicator that you don't want to like ignore. You want to pay close attention to the RSI. Now if we take a look at this, look at the RSI. The RSI is approaching to the 30 level, and then the 30 level that we have here in the RSI, we see that this RSI is way below the 50 range, and RSI being below the 50 range, we all know is a bearish sign for the price of Bitcoin. But once we break the 50 range from this RSI, I believe we're going to test this 70 range as well. As we can see, the same thing happened this particular place here. The same thing happened when we get to this point here. We broke the 50 range, which was around this place here, and then eventually we touch the 70 range as well. So you want to like really keep an eye on all this stuff that I've just mentioned in the price of Bitcoin, and then where I've said the price of Bitcoin might be going. Also, if you take a look at the CPRO that we have here, we can see the price of Bitcoin was finding it very difficult to break this particular resistance that we have here, which is sitting around 43,600 and $43,800 range. So between that 43,600 and 43,800, Bitcoin is finding it very difficult to break through that level. And why is that so? You can see we have the price target for the CPRO here as well, and even aside that, if you move backward, you'll see that this particular range, there's been a whole cluster of resistance there. So it like really makes sense for the price of Bitcoin, once it gets to this particular range, to like really comes down back again. We just retest it and still find some movement back to the downside before we can think of an actual movement. But before this is gonna happen, I believe something crazy will like really needs to happen before we can see the price of Bitcoin goes much more further to test the $45,000 range that I mentioned earlier. So this is my price target, and then where I feel the price of Bitcoin might be heading to in the immediate short term. And now let's take a look at where I feel the price of Bitcoin might be heading to in the long term as well. Now for the long term, I made a video yesterday concerning the price of Bitcoin, and also not just the price of Bitcoin, the price of Ethereum as well. But for the long term, we want to take a look at this chart. I believe is this chart that we have here. I made an analysis yesterday, and let me just quickly run through the analysis again on where I feel the price of Bitcoin might be heading to in the long term. And that is like really possible when we take a look at the weekly time frame of Bitcoin as well. Now this is the weekly time frame of Bitcoin, and then what do we see? We see a movement in the price like this. We see something like this. Bitcoin started from this particular place and then start this movement to the upside, and then when we get to this range here, we saw a massive dump in the price, and then the price eventually comes down back to a much more lower range. You can see this is when Bitcoin like have a nice run from this bottom here to 64 to 65k, and then immediately gets to 65k, which was the all-time high, and it eventually pulls back down to 29k as well. So now in what we are seeing here, and what is like really unfolding according to what this chart is presenting to us, is that I feel we are somehow forming a potential inverse head and shoulder here. And once this inverse head and shoulder is being formed, we're going to see the price of Bitcoin goes to much more higher range, which is what I put here, which is this. I did the measurement target like this, then put it at the point of breakout, which is around here, and which this like leave us to a price target of $75,000 for the Bitcoin price. And no any other person has been really talking about this right now. I don't know, there might be someone else that might be talking about this, but right now I'm just one of the few person talking about this, that Bitcoin price, regardless of what is really happening with the price of Bitcoin in the immediate, not just like long term, but like very soon, we're gonna see the price of Bitcoin gets to the $75,000 range, and I think that will be possible this year. And then when that happened, you want to come back to this video and say I said so, that the price of Bitcoin this year, before this year will end, we're gonna see a price of Bitcoin to $75,000 range, because when this price eventually comes to a much more lower level, and then we just have a choppy stuff like this, and then eventually find a movement to the upside. But what we like really propel the price to that particular price range is when we break this trend line that we have here. So the moment we break this trend line, that is when Bitcoin will start that high volatility movement. We're going to see that impulsive move in the price of Bitcoin, because we're not going to have any resistance. If you take a look at the right, there's no much more resistance there. Bitcoin will just be in a no man's land, and then it will just start moving to the upside and then try to find a particular place to settle in. And I think that place is the $75,000 range for Bitcoin. So that's what I have for you guys for today. That's my pure analysis for the long term and also for the short term. And kindly click on the notification bell icon if you have not done that, and also give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you've not subscribed to the channel to support my channel. So with that being said, I'm going to catch you guys in the next video. As always, peace.